morning, welcome to Stats with Cats. Today we are... One second. Stats with Cats, how can I help? What? Mr. Pease hates cats? Good morning, welcome to Stats with Dogs. Today we are going over consecutive probability. Please welcome our special guest, Mr. Doug.
Hooray! We love you, Mr. Doug!
Hey, happy to be here. I'll be here to teach you some math with my best friend, Douglas. Douglas here. I made a mistake in teaching him tricks. Unfortunately, I taught him how to roll over before teaching him how to lay down on command, so sometimes he gets confused. When I tell him to lay down, he has an 86% chance of successfully laying down. So, what's the probability that Douglas successfully lays down exactly 3 times in 4 attempts? How about the probability that he lays down exactly 2 times in 5 attempts? Or at least once in 5 attempts? Well, that's when we use consecutive probability!
Let's start with the probability that he successfully lays down exactly 3 times in 4 attempts. We know that Douglas succeeds 86% of the time, so the probability of success is 0.86. What about if he doesn't succeed? That's when we find the complement. Complement is the opposite of an event happening. In this case, that would be Douglas failing to lay down on command. Lay down. Oh my god. Lay down. Stop. A success is 0.86, so what's the leftover? To find that, you'd subtract 0.86 from 1, which would equal to 0.14, so that would be our complement. We'll label it as the probability of failure for now. To calculate consecutive probability, you have to multiply each event together, as well as the number of possible ways the events can happen. For example, he could have a success, 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 failure, or he can have a success, success, failure, success. In this case, there are 4 different ways this can happen. Now let's calculate. Our 3 successes will be represented by 0.86 to the power of 3, multiplied our singular failure, which is going to be 0.14 to the power of 1, or 0.14 is fine, and then we multiply it by the 4 different possible ways, which, when multiplied, we get 0.3566. Don't forget to be specific and include context with your answer. Let's try another problem. This time, we're going to use something called NCR because sometimes it's just too difficult to figure out all the different possible ways something can happen. The N stands for the total number of trials, while the R stands for the chosen amount. So in this case, our NCR would be 5/2. To put that in the calculator, first type your N, press Math, scroll over to Probability and down to NCR, then type your R. Now you calculate it like the last problem, 0.86 to the power of 2 times 0.14 to the power of 3 times the NCR, which equals to 0.0203. Don't forget to be specific and add context. Let's try one more problem. This one's a little different because it says at least once. There's a special formula we can use for this one, but we can only use it when it says at least once. It cannot be at least twice, it cannot be at least 3, it is only at least once. The formula is 1 minus the opposite to the power of n. The opposite of laying down, which is a success, would be a failure, which is going to be 0.14. So to solve this, it would be 1 minus 0.14 to the power of n, which is 5, since we have 5 attempts. This equals to 0.9995. Of course, don't forget to be specific.
And that's how you do consecutive probability. Thank you, Mr. Doug and Douglas. It was a pleasure to be here. And that's all for today. Thanks for tuning in with Stats with Dogs.